A very good evening, everyone. My name is Shivansh Gaur, and today we are going to do a very quick review. We are going to do a very quick review of human health and disease. It's a very important chapter of your zoology section. It's a very important chapter of your zoology section, and we are going to do a very quick review of it. And we'll go point by point. I'll elaborate on the important points which are important for you. So go along with me, and if you have any doubt, you can always ask me. So everyone, whoever is there, a very good evening, everyone. And we are going to start with human health and disease, very important chapter. The all the pathogens which are there, the diseases, the causes, the symptoms, and the pathogens, everything, each and everything, it is very important, and we are going to deal with that. In this particular quick review session. It's a quick review, okay? So I'm not going to be in going into like much details of everything, but yeah, we are going to do a quick review of all the important points in human health and disease. So we pay very close attention, and we will start with health and diseases. So first of all, the question arises, what is health and what is disease? The question which arises is, what is health and what is disease? See, one more thing is there. If you have any doubt or anything you want to ask in between, you can always ask me in the chat box. There is live chat box. I can see whatever you can type, whatever you will be typing there in the chat box. I can see that. So you can ask me anything whenever you have any doubt related to anything. Okay. So now we'll start with it, and just one second. Okay, so now starting with health and diseases. Now, pay very close attention to each and every point. This is very important. Health and diseases. Health is a state of a complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So the thing is, just the absence of disease does not mean that you are healthy. It does not mean that you are healthy. It's a complete state of like physical, mental, and social well-being. So you have to keep that in mind. And one more thing which is there in our society, in our Indian society, it's very common, our especially with our parents, we see, they kind of relate health with a person who is fat. So a person who is more fat is more healthy. For example, like my mom also used to be like this, like see, he is very healthy, and see yourself. And the person who she was referring to was very fat. And so I was like, mom, he's not healthy, okay? So you do not confuse health with like fatness, obesity, okay? So we have this like misconception in our society that the more a person is fat, the more healthy he is or she is. No, it's not like that, okay? So keep that thing in mind. Now, the various practices that help in maintaining good health, the various practices which are done to maintain the good health, they are known as hygiene. It is known as hygiene, okay? Now, health includes both personal and community health. So health, it includes both personal and community health, and activities undertaken at the government or the local organization level to maintain the health of the people for controlling disease, they are known as, that is known as community health. So these are the steps which are taken by the local organization or the government, at the bigger level, at a society level or at a community level, and that is known as like community health. There are several organizations working towards good community health. Some of the important tasks which community health centers undertake are to maintain the proper cleanliness by disposing of the sewage. This is one of the most important things from colonies, okay? And to provide safe and germ-free drinking water. Drinking water. Why this germ-free drinking water is important? This you will come to know. Just come along with me and see. You will see why clean drinking water is so much important. Okay, I'll tell you that. So stick with me and stay tuned with me. I'll tell you. To run various immunization, vaccination against the various disease programs. So vaccination is done on a community level. For example, if like the vaccine of a polio has to be provided, it is done on a community level. It's not done on a personal level. It's done on a community level. Okay, so immunization, vaccination, it is also done on a community levels. And then to the programs wherever there is danger of spreading a disease. Awareness programs are run whenever there is a danger of spreading a disease. Okay, now to provide health education, to spray insecticides to kill harmful insects, to maintain food standards, regular inspection of food centers, meat and milk outlets, to prevent mosquito breeding. This is again very important. This to prevent the mosquito breeding over, like cover open drains, pour kerosene oil on the surface of the stagnant water, and these are some of the steps which are taken at the community level to prevent the spread of the disease. Okay, now the question arises, what is a disease? What is a disease? It's a condition of a body or a part of it in which the functions they are disturbed or damaged. The functions they are disturbed or damaged. And disease literally means which is when you are not at ease, you are at dis-ease. This means not. Okay, so you are not at ease. In other words, disease may be defined as a disorder in a physical, physiological, psychological or social state of a person, and caused due to neutral deficiency. It can be caused due to neutral deficiency, physiological disorder, genetic disorder, or pathogen, or any other reason. So there can be many reasons. There can be many reasons for a particular disease. We'll also see that. Okay, so stay tuned with me. Stay with me. I'll tell you each and everything. So now look at this flow chart. Look at this flow chart. This flow chart is very important here. Disease. There are two types. One is congenital and the other is acquired disease. One is congenital and the other is acquired. Now congenital disease is present since birth. Congenital disease, it is present since birth. It is also known as genetic diseases. They are also known as genetic disease. Okay, and then there are acquired disease. What are acquired disease? Which develop after birth. Acquired means something you develop during your lifetime. You acquire during your lifetime. So something which you do not have since your birth, but you acquire at your lifetime or during your lifetime, that is acquired disease. Okay, now acquired disease, there are two types. One is of communicable disease and the other is of non-communicable disease. So communicable disease they are diseases which can be spread from like one infected person to the healthy person. Like they can move from one person to another person, and that is why they are known as communicable. And I do not need to give an example right now, because all of us and all of you must know the harmful effects of a communicable disease. We are all suffering from the the pandemic, that is coronavirus. It's a communicable disease. It can easily spread from one person to another person. It's highly communicable, highly infectious, and the whole of the world is suffering from it, and lakhs of people have died from it. So these diseases, they are very, very, very harmful and dangerous because they are communicable. They can like move from one person to another person in a very lightning fast way. Okay, and then there are non-communicable diseases that do not spread from one person to another. So they do not spread from one person to another. Okay, so now these non-communicable, they are further divided into degenerative diseases, which are caused due to malfunctioning of the vital organ. Then there is deficiency diseases, which is caused due to the lack of nutrients in the diet. Then there is allergies, which is nothing but the hypersensitivity of the body or the immune response. It is a hyperimmune response of the body to certain foreign substances. It is known as allergies. Cancer is caused due to the uncontrolled growth of the cells or tissues. And then there are other diseases which are caused due to various other physical reasons or the other reasons. So there can be many reasons for a particular disease. Now congenital disease. Coming to congenital disease. What is a congenital disease? The disease which is present from birth. Example, hole in the heart in infants. They are caused by some genetic abnormality or metabolic disorder or malfunctioning of an organ. Okay, so these diseases which are present from the birth, since the birth, they are also known as genetic diseases. It could be due to genetic abnormality. So these are known as congenital diseases, like which are present since the time of your birth. Then comes acquired diseases. The disease which may occur after birth during one's lifetime is known as acquired. Acquired diseases may generally be classified into, as we have already seen, it's infectious diseases, the diseases which can be transmitted from person to one person, another person. Example is measles. And then you have degenerative diseases. Degenerative diseases, the diseases caused by the malfunction of some of the vital organs of the body. Example, heart failure. It's a degenerative disease. Now, deficiency disease. These are caused due to the nutritional deficiency, such as that of the minerals or vitamins, in the diet. Example, anemia. iron, beriberi, that is, these are these different examples. Now there are cancer, and the cancer, this is an abnormal, uncontrolled, unwanted growth of cells, example the breast cancer. And why these cells they control abnormally, like there is why there is this unwanted growth of cells, because the cells, the cancerous cells lose the property, property of contact contact inhibition. So they lose the property of contact inhibition. Okay, and what is contact inhibition? This is a property of a cell that when a particular cell comes in contact with another cell, the neighboring cell, it stops dividing, because now it knows that there is no space, and and it should not divide further. But these cancerous cells, they lose this property, and they keep on dividing and dividing and dividing, which leads to the formation of a tumor, and ultimately it causes cancer. Acquired diseases, they are studied under two categories. One is communicable, the other is non-communicable. The diseases which can be transmitted from infected person to a healthy person, they are known as communicable diseases. And there is non-communicable diseases. These are the diseases which do not spread from the affected person and to a healthy person. Now, modes of spread. What are the different modes of spread of a communicable disease? What can be the different modes of spread of a communicable disease? Let us see that. Communicable diseases is spread from the infected person to a healthy person in the following ways. First is the direct transmission. How is this direct transmission occurs? Now, the pathogens of the diseases infect a healthy person directly without an intermediate agent. So there is no intermediate agent. The pathogen is directly affecting the healthy person. Okay, it can take place by various means, such as direct contact between the infected person and healthy person. So there is a direct contact between the infected person and healthy person. So both the persons, they are coming in contact, so there is direct infection of the pathogen. Then there is droplet infection. Then there is contact and with contaminated soil. You can come in contact with the contaminated soil. And then there is animal bite. So these are direct modes of transmission. Then there is some indirect modes of transmission. What are these? These are the pathogens of certain diseases reach the human body through some intermediate agents. It can take place by various means, which are as follows. And what are they? They are some of the vectors. They are known as vectors. And what are vectors? These are house flies, mosquitoes are there, cockroaches are there. So these are some of the examples. Like house flies, they are there, like mosquitoes are there, cockroaches are there. These are the examples of the vectors. Housefly carry the causative organism, for example, cholera, on their legs. So the causative organism of a cholera, which is a bacteria, it is present there on their legs and mouth parts, from the feces and sputum of the infected person. So from where do they get this bacteria? They get this bacteria from the feces and sputum of the infected person to the food and drinks and contaminate them. So when these houseflies, they sit on the feces or the sputum of the infected person, and then they sit on your food or your drinks, they they kind of transmit this pathogen onto your food and drinks, and then when you eat it or drink it, they go into your body and it causes diseases. So there is indirect transmission of the pathogen. There is indirect transmission of the pathogen. So when this contaminated food is taken by a healthy person, so he gets the infection. Similarly, mosquitoes carry virus of dengue and malarial parasite, which causes malaria. So similarly, there are mosquitoes, which are vectors, which carry the virus of the dengue, and malarial, the plasmodium of the malarial parasite, which is a plasmodium, and it causes malaria. So these are vectors. Then comes the airborne. The pathogens may reach the human with air and dust. So they can reach with the, there is no vector, any vector which is there, which it is as the air or the dust, which is carrying the pathogen along with itself. And the epidemic typhus. The epidemic typhus spreads by inhalation of dried feces of the infected fly. So these are the dried feces of the infected fly. And when they they are in the air, they are in the air, in the dust, and it goes into your body, and you can get infected. And then there is object borne, which is fomite, like many diseases that are transmitted through the use of contaminated articles such as clothes, utensils, toys, doors, handles, taps, syringes, surgical instruments, etc. and there is waterborne disease, like if potable water, that is the drinking water. What is potable water? It is drinking water is contaminated with the pathogens of diseases such as cholera, diarrhea, hepatitis, or jaundice. It reaches a healthy person upon consuming such water. See, a lot of diseases, they are waterborne diseases, and therefore I was like emphasizing on that particular point, that why the water needs to be very clean. The water that you drink, it needs to be very clean. Okay, now some important terms that you must remember. There are some important terms that you must remember. These are: what is a pathogen? A pathogen is a living organism which causes a disease. What is a parasite? It's an organism which gets a food and shelter. This is the most important thing that you must remember, that gets food and shelter from the host. What is host? It is a living body or inside which the disease producing organisms take shelter. Okay, infestation. What is infestation? A large number of parasitic organisms are present on the surface of the body of the host or on the clothing. That is known as infestation. Vector. It is an organism which harbors a pathogen and may pass it on to another person to cause a disease. Mosquitoes harbor malarial parasite and transmit it to the humans. That is known as vector. So what is a vector? It harbors a pathogen, which means what? That the pathogen is present inside their body. It harbors a pathogen and it passes it on to the another person and cause a disease. For example, harbor malarial parasite. Mosquitoes, they harbor malarial parasite and they transmit it to the humans. Then there are carriers. It is an organism which itself does not harbor. Now, what is the difference between a carrier and a vector? Vector, it harbors the pathogen. The pathogen is present inside their body, but a carrier does not harbor the pathogen. What happens is the pathogen is there on their body, it's not in their body. Okay, so it does not harbor the pathogen but physically transmit to the other person. For example, housefly is a carrier of cholera germs. Now, reservoir, an organism which harbors pathogen in large numbers but that does not suffer itself. That that organism which has the pathogen, that does not suffer itself, but the organisms, the other which the organism it transmit to that suffers from the disease. So they act as reservoir. Then there is epidemic. In epidemic, what is epidemic? Is spreading of a disease among a large number of people in the same place for some time. Example is plague. For some time, that is known as epidemic. Okay, now what is pandemic? So epidemic we have done. What is pandemic? It is a disease which is found all over the world, not like a specific place or same place. It is present all over the world, and that is why it is known as pandemic. Example is here they have given AIDS. You can add one more example, which is corona disease. It is a pandemic right now. Okay, interferon. The type of proteins produced by infected cells of the body when attacked by a virus, which act to prevent the further development of the virus, and they are known as interferon. Inoculation, introduction of antigenic material inside the body to prevent the suffering from a disease. What is vaccination? It is injection of a weak strain of a specific bacterium vaccine in order to secure immunity against the corresponding disease. It is also called as immunization. Then comes incubation period. The period between the entry of the pathogen inside a healthy body and the appearance of the symptoms of the disease. That is known as the incubation period. Now, what are the symptoms? The specific expressions which appear on the disease, which help in the identification of the disease. Okay, the symptoms are very important because some symptoms, they are very characteristic to a particular disease. So if a particular symptom is there, so it indicates a particular disease. Sometimes the symptoms, they act as a test. For the disease diagnostic. You can diagnose the disease with the symptoms. Now there will be some charts. And in these charts there will be 3 columns. For example, disease, and the pathogen and the mode of transmission. And this chart is particularly very important for all of you, I'm telling, because this is in this chart, in a concise way you'll be able to learn the diseases, their pathogens, and their mode of transmission. So now pay a very close attention, you can also take the screenshots of these charts. I'm telling you, this is going to help you a lot. So take the screenshots of these charts, they are very important. Okay, so everyone, now go along with me. Chickenpox. Chickenpox is caused by virus, and it is varicella virus. Which causes chickenpox. The mode of transmission is by contact or through the scabs diseases. The second disease is measles. It is caused by virus rubella. Example is, the mode of transmission is by air. So it is transmitted by air. Then comes polio myelitis. The polio virus, caused by polio virus. Virus enters inside the body through the food or water. Now pay very close attention. You will see, like in most of the diseases, food and water will be the main source of the pathogen, and that is why you are advised to take, to eat food from the hygienic place, and to drink water from a hygienic place, and also ensure that the water is clean and pure. Okay, because most of the pathogens, they thrive in food and water. So pay now very close attention. Now rabies. Rabies also called as a hydrophobia. Rabies virus, it is caused by the rabies virus, and it is a mode of transmission is a bite by a rabid dog, which means a dog which is already suffering from rabies. When that dog bites you, you also get the rabies. Okay, then comes hepatitis. Hepatitis is caused by hepatitis B virus, mainly through the contaminated water. See, here also it is caused by mainly through the contaminated water. Now, diseases caused by bacteria. Now see, tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is a bacterium, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It's an airborne discharge through the sputum, cough, sneeze, etc. of the infected person. Then comes typhoid. A bacillus rod-shaped bacterium, Salmonella typhi, is the pathogen. And what is the mode of transmission? Through contaminated food and water. Cholera. Comma-shaped bacterium, which is Vibrio cholerae, and contaminated food and water. Example, housefly is the carrier. As I've already told you this, that the cholera, the mode of transmission is housefly. Okay, one second. Okay, now diphtheria. It is a rod-shaped bacterium, Corynebacterium diphtheria, through air or droplet infection. Diphtheria is caused by rod-shaped bacterium, Corynebacterium diphtheria, and through air or the droplet infection. Then comes lepsori. Lepsori is a bacterium, Mycobacterium leprae, and prolonged contact with the infected person. Nasal secretions are the most likely infectious material for the family contacts. The nasal secretion, it is the most likely infectious material. Now, diseases caused by protozoans. Diseases which are caused by protozoans. One is malaria, the other is amoebiasis. Malaria is caused by a malarial parasite. The different species of Plasmodium, and by bite of a female Anopheles mosquito. Okay, so malarial parasite, different species of Plasmodium. Now I would ask all of you who are watching, can anyone, let me see who can answer this first. So tell me all the species of Plasmodium which causes malaria. Can anyone name all the species quickly in the chat box? I'm waiting for the answer. Just quickly tell me all the species of the Plasmodium which causes malaria. I'm waiting for the answer in the chat box. Let's see who gives the answer first. And there is this amoebiasis. Amoebic dysentery, Antamoeba histolytica, contaminated food and water. So see, contaminated food and water is there in the mode of transmission in a lot of diseases. Which means what? That You have to ensure. I'm emphasizing on this point again and again. Why? Because in our lifestyle we have become so casual now. We go to the streets and take the street food. We eat everything what we get in our way, and we do not even ensure that the place is hygienic and the person who is cooking that is hygienic and maintaining the proper hygiene. No, we do not do that. We just go for the taste, and we do not look at the hygiene conditions so much. We do not pay attention to that. And and that is the cause of most of the disease: contaminated food and water. I'm still looking for the answer. Whoever is watching, come on, come on, tell me the the species of Plasmodium which causes malaria. If anyone knows that, tell me. Otherwise, I'm there to tell you. If you don't know, you can tell me you don't know, so that I'll tell you. Otherwise, I'll wait for the answer for all of you. So come on, you have to be interactive. You just cannot just listen and just watch and listen. So just be interactive. Tell me. Tell me. I'm asking something, so tell me. Don't sit idle and watch the lecture. It's not like that. Okay. So now, diseases caused by worms. Diseases caused by worms, the helminths. Okay. So the diseases which are caused by worms, the filariasis. First is filariasis, which is caused by worm. Which worm pathogen is a filarial worm? It's a filarial worm called Wuchereria bancrofti, which is known as Wuchereria bancrofti pathogen, filarial worm, Wuchereria bancrofti. And mode of transmission is a bite of a mosquitoes. And what is a mosquito? It is Aedes and Culex mosquito. Aedes and Culex mosquito, which causes or which is responsible for the transmission, for the mode of transmission. Bites of mosquitoes is responsible, Aedes and Culex. Filarial worm is Wuchereria bancrofti. Wuchereria bancrofti. Okay, now non-communicable diseases. Now we are going to talk about some of the non-communicable diseases, okay, which are not transmitted from one person to another, which are not transmitted from one person to another. It is known as non-communicable disease. For example, diabetes mellitus. For example, diabetes mellitus. The disease can be diagnosed by blood test or urine test. How it can be diagnosed? With the blood test or the urine test, this disease can be diagnosed. What are the causes? The causes are less secretion of insulin, of course, less secretion of insulin. Insulin is secreted by the beta, like the beta cells, cells of pancreas, okay, pancreas, the beta cells of pancreas. And this insulin, the secretion is less, hormone from the pancreas. Then there is mental stress. Mental stress can also result in diabetes mellitus, and through heredity from the parents. Of course, it can be transferred, or it can be inherited from the parents as well. Then comes cardiovascular diseases. Then comes what? The cardiovascular diseases. What are common causes? The deposition of cholesterol. Cardiovascular means the diseases of heart. Cardiovascular means what? The disease of heart. Heart is affected. Okay. So now the deposition of cholesterol, which is a kind of fat in the walls of coronary arteries, which restrict the flow of the blood to the heart muscles. This leads to heart attack. Okay. So that is the cholesterol which is getting deposited in the walls of the coronary arteries. Now, due to reduced blood supply, oxygen available to the muscles, heart efficiency is affected. And due to stress and strain, due to obesity as well, overweight persons, they are not healthy. In our Indian society, they are regarded as healthy. The more fat you are, the more obese you are, the more healthy you are. No, it's not like that. It is unhealthy to be overweight. Okay. Hypertension, high blood pressure. The symptoms are persistent high blood pressure. It may damage the arteries of the kidney. In extreme cases, the arteries may burst or blindness may be caused, and it may also cause paralysis. Cause paralysis. Okay. Now, coronary heart disease. The symptoms: severe pain in the chest, angina, gasping for breath. There is severe pain in the chest, okay, and you are gasping for breath. Intense nausea and vomiting. Is there. And also the lot of sweating takes place. lot of sweating takes place, and then blood clot may be formed within the blood vessels. Blood clot may be formed within the blood vessels. Now, osteoporosis. So osteoporosis is an age dependent disorder. Do remember this point. This is very important point, that osteoporosis, it is an age dependent disorder, that is with loss of the normal density. With loss of the normal density of the bone is reduced with age. It is reduced with age, and the bones become fragile, and they are easily fractured. We have seen this in our older people. Person who is older, there are more chances of getting fractured. The bones, getting fractured. Even if they fall from the bed, they'll get their legs fractured or the hand fractured. Why is it? Because of the osteoporosis. That is, the loose or the density of the bone is getting reduced day by day. Now, bones that are affected by osteoporosis can fracture with only a minor fall or injury. Okay, elderly men and women, they are most susceptible because of the hormonal changes which occur with the advancing age, and the cause is a hormonal change which is there due to the advancing age. Now, what is cancer? Cancer, it is the uncontrolled and unwanted growth of cells, and as I already told you, it is due to the property of the cells which is lost. The property of the cells which is lost is known as contact inhibition. Okay, now someone is telling me, okay, I'm Yadagiri. Okay, now someone has come and is telling me Plasmodium vivax falciparum, yeah. So M Yadagiri is telling me the different species of Plasmodium which are responsible for causing malaria. So now finally someone has come to the front and telling me the species. Okay, so you have tell me two, vivax and falciparum. What are the other two? There are four. Do you remember the other two? If you do, then please tell me, otherwise I'll tell it, don't worry. Cancer is a kind of a tumorous growth. So contact inhibition is a property which has been lost by the cancerous cells, and therefore they cause cancer and the tumorous growth. The tumorous, can be classified into two types. The tumors, there are two types. One is benign tumor. It remains confined to the place of origin. So where the tumor has been formed, it remains confined there, and it does not spread to the other body parts. It is relatively harmless. But malignant tumor, it spreads to the other parts of the body. Growth is rapid, and this is serious and may cause death of the patient. Okay, so this one is very harmful. When the tumor becomes malignant, it is really harmful for your body. Okay, now allergy. What is allergy? It includes a group of non-infectious diseases. No definite cause is known. Of course, no definite cause is known. Why? Because a person having, it's very subjective. Okay, because you may be allergic to dust, and someone else may be allergic to something else. Someone is allergic to leather. I've seen some person who are allergic to leather. They cannot survive in the environment which is which have leather, or maybe they are allergic to the objects which are made up of leather. So they are allergic to leather. Some are allergic to something else. So the allergy is very subjective. So the cause, there is no definite cause of it. Okay, it's just the hypersensitivity of your immune system. Okay, so your immune system is hypersensitive to some of the other foreign agents which are there in the environment, and you start responding in a very very sensitive way. Okay, so that is why it is known as, okay, Dama Priya, familiar cancers, and sporadic cancers, etc. These are types of cancer. Now, sir, there are a lot of types of cancers are there. Okay, Dama Priya, a lot of type of cancers are there, but that is not dealt in your syllabus. Okay, that is not dealt in your syllabus, but you are correct. Okay, you are correct, but that is not there in your syllabus, so don't have to go into details of it. You just have to know that what is cancer and what is the property of the cells which is being lost in the cancerous cells. That is it. Okay, and what are the tumors, the two types of tumors, that is also very important. Now, It is believed there are it is believed that they occur due to hypersensitivity of the certain individuals to foreign matters, allergens, which may enter inside the body, okay. Symptoms may be sneezing, gasping, running of eyes, irritation of throat or trachea, etc. Okay, and allergens may be pollen grains. It can be feathers. Some are allergic, some people they are allergic to feathers. Some animals can be there, some insects, drugs or medicines or odor. Yeah, some of them they are, some people they are allergic to some kind of odor. So you don't know the definite cause of it. Okay, now comes the sexually transmitted diseases. Now comes what? Sexually transmitted diseases. In short, they are known as STDs. They are also known as STDs. So the diseases that are transmitted through sexual contact, they are known as sexually transmitted diseases. Sexually transmitted diseases are those infections that are transmitted via the mucous membranes and the secretions through sexual organs and throat and the rectum. Examples are syphilis, gonorrhea, AIDS, etc. are some of the STDs. They are some of the STDs. Okay, so first of all, we are going to talk about AIDS. It's acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So what is what is being affected? Your immune system is affected in this disease. It's immunodeficiency syndrome. Syndrome means a group of symptoms. There is no one particular symptom. There is particular there are a group of symptoms. Your whole system is affected because your immune system has now become deficient. So AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. It is a pandemic disease because AIDS is also there in the whole world. It is also caused by viruses. Okay, the word immunodeficiency signifies that the immune system becomes weak, and it is a disorder of cell-mediated immune system of the body. Lymphocytes, they are the main cells of the immune system, that is T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes and helper T lymphocytes. They play a great role in regulating the immune system, and damages to the or destruction to the helper T lymphocytes, it leads to the development of the cellular immune deficiency, which makes the patient susceptible to a wide variety of infections. So the wide variety of infections, they are caused to a person who is suffering from AIDS, and that is why it is known as syndrome, that there is a group of symptoms that is there. Mode of transmission, AIDS may be transmitted through any one of the following. First is the sexual contact with the affected person. In India, the most common route of HIV transmission is through the unprotected heterosexual sex. Unprotected heterosexual sex. Using the same syringe as that of the affected person, blood transfusion which contains immunodeficiency virus, then there is organ transplantation of the affected person, artificial insemination, and from mother to the newborn baby during the process of giving birth. So these are some of the modes of transmission of the AIDS. Then comes syphilis, causative organism Treponema pallidum, and it's a long corkscrew bacteria, and mode of spread, sexual contact with the infected person. Then comes gonorrhea. Then comes what? Gonorrhea. Gonorrhea is a sexually transmitted disease that often involves urethra, vagina or penis, cervix, anus and throat, and its target sites. What are the causative organisms? A gonococcus bacteria, Neisseria gonorrhoeae, and it grows and multiplies quickly and in the warm, moist areas of the body, such as the cervix, rectum, and mouth. Okay, these were some of the STDs that we have talked about. Now we are going to talk about the deficiency diseases. As the name suggests, that these diseases, they occur due to the deficiency of one or more nutrients. For example, proteins, for example, carbohydrates, for example, vitamins, minerals, etc. in a diet, called as deficiency diseases. First of all, we are going to talk about the malnutrition. Okay, yeah. So the 4 species of Plasmodium which causes malaria. Okay, I'm going to tell that because I was waiting for someone to answer it, but no one has answered, and Yadagri is asking me to tell that, so I will tell that. You have told me two. One is Plasmodium vivax. Okay, one is Plasmodium vivax. Other is Plasmodium falciparum. Okay, then there is Plasmodium ovale, and then there is Plasmodium malarii. Okay, so these are the different species of Plasmodium which causes malaria. Different species of Plasmodium which causes malaria. Remaining two, yeah. Now I have told all the four. Okay, and do remember all these species. They are very important. Neeru Sen is asking, is there any permanent cure of AIDS for disease? No, there is no cure for AIDS as of now. AIDS is a non-curable disease. It's a non-curable disease. It's a non-curable disease. There is no particular drug for AIDS which can cure you. A person who has got AIDS, the life can be prolonged. A person who is suffering from AIDS, his life can be prolonged. His life can be prolonged, but he cannot be cured from AIDS. He will of course die of AIDS. Okay, so there is no permanent cure for AIDS. There is no permanent cure for AIDS. Okay, so first of all we are going to talk about the malnutrition. In this malnutrition, the first thing that we are going to talk about is protein energy malnutrition, PEM. It is called mineral deficiency and vitamin deficiency diseases. Of course we are going to talk about that also. So first of all we are going to talk about the energy malnutrition, protein energy. A number of children in the age group of 1 to 5 years, they suffer from a disease of PEM, and it is due to two reasons. The first is the lack of proteins or carbohydrates or both in the diet. The second is more intake of carbohydrate than proteins. So these are the two reasons. Now protein energy malnutrition, it results in two diseases, marasmus and Kwashiorkar. Now marasmus, what is marasmus? It is caused due to the deficiency of carbohydrates, fats and proteins. So there is this deficiency of all these three, and usually affects the infants below the age of 1 year. So the infants which are below the age of 1 year, they are affected from marasmus, and the symptoms are, that is brownish red colored hair, wasting of muscles reduces the child to skin and bones, folded skin, the sunken eyes are there, thin face, thinning of limbs and abdominal walls, retarded physical and mental growth, ribs become prominent, the pigeon chest, which is known as pigeon chest, the ribs, they are very seen very clearly, you can count the ribs. Okay, edema, that is, and skin pigmentation are absent. Okay, Kwashiorkar. Now what is Kwashiorkar? This disease develops when the mothers stop. This is very important. Pay very close attention here. That this disease develops when mothers stop feeding their babies with breast milk, and the child is given traditional family food having low protein, in it. Okay, the symptoms are a child suffering from Kwashiorkar. It is underweight, has protruding belly and skin is dark and scaly, has enlarged liver and has anemia, causes or suffers from the repeated diarrhea, stunted growth, loss of appetite, hair becomes reddish, swelling of the legs and the feet due to the retention of the water by cell, which is known as edema. Obesity. Obesity. What is obesity? Is a condition in which the natural energy reserve in the fatty tissue is increased to a point where it is thought to be a risk factor, and certain health condition or increased mortality. Okay, increased mortality. Now mineral deficiency. What is mineral deficiency? Which are caused due to the mineral deficiency. The first thing is calcium. Calcium causes rickets in children. It causes rickets in children, osteomalacia, that is soft bones, and osteoporosis in adults. Okay, phosphorus, otherwise it's rare, but it causes weakness, bone pain, anorexia. Okay, magnesium, nausea, irritability, muscle weakness, twitching, cramps. This is caused deficiency due to magnesium. Then potassium, nausea, anorexia, muscle weakness, irritability, and it occurs often in the persons with a prolonged diarrhea. Yeah, the symptoms of Kwashiorkor and the symptom of marasmus, they are quite somewhat similar. You just have to remember the difference in the causes of the Kwashiorkor and marasmus. See, one more time, I'm gonna tell you this. See, marasmus is caused due to deficiency of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. All of them in the usually in the infants below the age of 1 year. Okay, so very small infants they are, but in Kwashiorkor it develops when the mothers stop feeding. So that is of course after 1 year. The mother stops feeding the child usually after 6 to 8 months or minimum 1 year. So it is caused in the infants which are like generally which are older than, generally older than 1 year, when she stops feeding their child with the breast milk, and the child is given traditional family food, so that is generally done after like 1 year, like 8 months or 12 months. Okay, so that is a basic difference between Kwashiorkor and marasmus, and it is only caused due to the deficiency of protein, while marasmus is caused due to the deficiency of protein, carbohydrates and fats both, like three of them, all three of them. So that is a major difference that you have to remember. Otherwise the symptoms are like more or less similar. Symptoms are more or less similar. Okay, now potassium I was talking, so nausea, anorexia. Okay, now zinc, slow healing of wounds, loss of taste, retarded growth, delayed sexual development in the children, that is caused by the deficiency of zinc. Okay, now the last thing that we are going to talk about is the deficiency of diseases, deficiency diseases which are caused by vitamins or the vitamins. Okay, now you have to remember the name of the diseases which are caused by the deficiency of the vitamin, which this is very important. I'm going to tell you some of the symptoms or some of the names of the diseases. Otherwise you can go through the chart, you can download the chart from the Google. You just Google the deficiency diseases caused by vitamins. It is very important, I'm telling you. You download the chart, keep it with you, and just remember all the deficiency diseases which are caused by vitamins. So now see, vitamin A causes light blindness, reduced hair growth in the children, loss of appetite, dry, rough skin. You just have to, symptoms are not that much important. I'm telling you, symptoms which are there due to the deficiency diseases of vitamins, they are not as important as the name of the diseases are. So you remember that. Otherwise, don't go into the symptoms that much. I'm telling you. Okay, then vitamin D, rickets in children. Okay, bone softening in adults and osteoporosis. Vitamin E, rare, seen in primarily in the premature or the low birth weight babies or children who do not absorb fat properly, causes nerve abnormalities. Vitamin K, the defective blood coagulation is there. It causes delayed blood coagulation because vitamin K, it helps in the clotting of the blood. Okay, vitamin B1, anxiety, hysteria, depression, muscle cramps, loss of appetite in extreme cases. Beriberi is the name of the disease. Vitamin B2, cracks and sores around the mouth and nose with visual problems. Vitamin B2, vitamin B3 in extreme causes. Example, the disease is pellagra disease characterized by dermatitis, diarrhea and mouth sores. Vitamin B6, anemia, irritability, patches of itchy, scaly skin and convulsions. Okay, vitamin B12, pernicious anemia, nerve damage is there. Okay, and then vitamin C, muscle weakness, bleeding gums, etc. Scurvy. The disease is scurvy. So now with this we have completed today's quick review of human health and diseases. With this we have completed today's quick review of human health and diseases. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise you can say bye bye or thank you, so that I know that it's clear to all of you, and then we can conclude this session. So everyone, is it fine? Or if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise say thank you or bye bye, so that I know you have had a good session and you have had a very good review of the whole chapter. Okay, so I think it is clear to all of you. Everything is clear to all of you, and we can conclude today's session. Okay, yeah, you're welcome, Soha. You're welcome, Yadagri. You're welcome. Okay, so everyone, take care. It's good night from my side. Take care, and we'll meet again next Friday. Next Friday, again a live session. So we'll meet again next Friday. So everyone, be ready with the new topic. I'll come with a new topic and we'll learn something new. So till then, take care. Bye bye. We'll meet next week, next Friday. Bye bye.